Switzerland's known as a beautiful alpine country, lying deep in the interior of the European continent. Only few would have expected that even here, far from the sea, a deadly tsunami could wreak havoc. But it's a fact. Not only has it happened in the past, but as always, time's running out, counting down to when it will happen again. Friends, welcome to another video on the Top Topics channel, and let's get to another interesting video now. Tsunamis don't just threaten seashores as most of us think. People living near large lakes are also at risk if an earthquake or landslide hits the area, as it did in the case of Lake Geneva. The 563 disaster that happened there could happen again anytime. Let's talk a little more about it. There are two historical references to the massive wave that swept across the lake in 563, killing people and cattle on the shores and eventually flooding Geneva. It's mentioned in the writings of Gregory of Tours, whose History of the Franks was also published in English, and Bishop Marius, according to whom it was caused by the collapse of Mount Tarentum, the exact location of which historians and geologists have only speculated. From the shape and composition of the sediments, scientists have reconstructed the probable sequence of events at the time. At the southeast, where River Rhone flows into the lake, a mighty rock slide into the lake. Its remains forms the lower part of the layer. The upper part was formed by the subsequent deposition of stirred mud. The researchers also took 4 samples of the sediments and determined by radiocarbon dating that they were formed sometimes between years 381 and 612, so that the sources mentioning year 563 are consistent with these findings. The sediments also suggest that similar events have occurred several times in the last 10,000 years. That means since the last ice age. Computer simulations show that the landslide triggered a tidal wave that spread across the lake from southeast to west. 15 minutes later, a wave 13 meters high hit a place where the city of Lausanne lies nowadays. 70 minutes later, an 8-meter high wave reached the other end of the lake, flooding Geneva. The water overcame the city walls, destroyed bridges, and killed many people. Today, the same event would flood much of downtown Geneva. The city is no longer protected by walls, and people live much closer to the water than before, when the lake level fluctuated. Today, more than 1 million people live along the shores of the lake, and about 200,000 in Geneva alone. Geneva is particularly vulnerable in such events because it lies low above the lake level and at the end of a narrow funnel-shaped valley, which greatly increases the effect of tsunami waves. And because the Alps, which tower over the magnificent Lake Geneva, are still a living body that's growing and shifting, it's likely that a huge landslide will happen again in the near future, and the rocks from the mighty mountains will once again slide into the depth of the lake, causing another deadly wave. Let us therefore bear in mind that, far from affecting only the seas and oceans, tsunamis also affect the Great Lakes. Friends, if you liked the video, give us a like and subscribe to the channel, and in one of the next videos we will talk about other tsunamis on lakes because we really like this topic. Thanks for watching. Have a good time and see you soon at the next video on the Top Topics channel.